Hi, I'm Nick, and I like comics.
And I'm Adam, and I know comics.
Welcome to another episode of Adam and Nick Spoil Some Comics, where we spoil some comics. Today we are talking about Batman and Robin Eternal number 11, and All New X-Men number 2. Now, if you're not interested in Batman and Robin Eternal, you can go ahead and click on the link below and go ahead and jump forward to when we talk about All New X-Men.
For Batman and Robin Eternal number 11, the script was done by Ed Brisson, with the art by Fernando Blanco and Christian Deuce.
So this issue starts off in British Columbia at the sculptor's house, and Dick and Harper are really trying to figure out how it is that she knows Harper and what's going on with her. And it has come out that the sculptor is the one that made her how she is, molded her, this idea of sculpting. And then she does this telekinesis. Telepathic, all those words. And she shows in her mind, and they're like, whoa, what? Very surprised by this.
And he's told her to sit down and relax as she flumps into a chair.
Yeah, very good. And then Dick's asking her, what's going on here? Why are we here? What's going on? And then she goes into this explanation about how the mother needs to be stopped. After that stunt that they pulled off at the ballet, she's packing up shop. She has to be stopped. And so Dick asks her, but who is she to you? And the sculptor says, well, she's my boss. She says, I'm her sculptor, molding her children like mounds of clay. I shape them into works of art, into whatever form the mother desires. But now that this has happened, she's basically eliminating all of her children, all of her assets, and moving on and moving forward. The sculptor then says, okay, Dick, I can show you what's going on. And he's like,
mind meld.
Vulcan mind meld him.
Yes.
Very good. And he's like, no way, you can't do that because of my spiral tech. My brain will fry and
might kill them.
Might kill them both. Yeah. And so then Harper pipes up and she says, mind meld me, lady.
The art for this panel looks really weird.
It does. It's almost like it's missing some layer of shading.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. There's no dark to it. I don't know. Something about the forehead and eyebrows is creeping me out.
Yeah, but she says, mind meld me, lady. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny.
Flashback.
Yeah, this whole issue is basically a flashback, but it's all happening within Harper's mind. Like the sculptor is going in there and showing her memories of the past.
It's the Ghost of Christmas Ninja's past.
So the sculptor takes Harper Row in their mind to this underground tomb-looking area, and we see the Orphan and Cassandra Cain fighting. And he's beating the tar out of her. They're fighting, keeps going on. And then we find out that the Orphan is a guy by the name of David Cain, which is the person that Dick and Harper were looking for, in the last couple of issues with all those numbers and the leads they were going. And so he turns out to be the Orphan, and Cassandra Cain is his daughter.
Right.
And he's actually raising her to be this ninja.
But what's important to note is that he's doing this without the mother knowing. But the child has been born and raised completely in secret from basically his master or mistress, the mother, which is crazy to me because she seems so in the know and controlling that how does her closest pupil or whatever you would call him hides this big of a secret.
Right. And what he does for her is he doesn't let her speak, and he's trying to teach her to solely react on everything. And so he'll fight her, he'll cut her, he'll punch her, he'll show her lots of death and destruction so that she will get used to all this pain, all this anguish, and only react how she is supposed to. Get her numb to death so nothing freaks her out. He ends up having her fight the world's best fighters, and she defeats them all.
Yeah.
Pretty easily, looks like.
Handily. Another interesting thing to point out with this is that he's using methods that were considered old methods, I guess, by the mother. Well, she's using her new conventional methods of using the sculptor and stuff to make these new children. He said, no, I want to use the old ways and prove that the old ways are still better. And so he brings Cassandra to the mother, saying, I've kept her hidden all these years, but I want to prove to you that this child is more pure than any of yours for our needs. To which she just kind of looks at him and says, slaps him and says, I can't believe, you thought you could hide this from me.
And what's really interesting that as soon as she slaps him, Cassandra does what she's trained to do, and she reacts and immediately goes to attack or possibly kill the mother whenever her father, the Orphan, says no.
And mother acts very, very disappointed in that. She's like, why do you think that I would be pleased with you now all of a sudden showing me this secret? You're supposed to be my favorite. And I would expect that maybe others might disobey my orders, but not you. This isn't going to happen again if I ever see her again. you guys are dead to me.
Right, right. And I think that the only reason that she doesn't maybe kill him or kill both of them on the spot was because he was her star pupil for so long.
Right.
But she says, my orders are never to be questioned. Not by you, not by anybody. Then she leaves, and the orphan says, she will see we are not wrong. We just need to wait for the right opportunity. So he's still hell-bent on this idea that this is how things need to be, especially with Cassandra. Mm-hmm. We then go to a new scene, and it's Gotham, and Harper recognizes it, and she says, hey, I know this place. And the sculptor, this is definitely an accident. Like, they were not supposed to be at this place. And we see off panel, it says, someone please help. And then we see Cassandra murdering someone by slitting this person's throat. And back in issue number 9, Dick said something to Harper about how she was just lucky and how her luck is going to run out and she needs to know and be trained and all of this stuff. And she goes on to say that her mother was killed, was murdered. They never had a suspect. They never had any leads. They never had anything. And I'm a super sleuth, and I have figured out that Cassandra has killed Harper's mother. And that's why a few issues ago, after the ballet, whenever Harper tried to touch Cassandra's neck and we saw her head get pulled back and slitting a throat, I don't think it had anything to do with Cassandra's throat being slit.
Right.
I think it had to be a flashback of her slitting Harper's mother's throat.
Right.
And so she freaked out, and that's why she ran away.
That makes sense. So the scene switches back to them in the so-called nursery, which is more of a cave than a nursery. And the sculptor says, here's where you're going to find answers to the questions that Dick Grayson has about his mentor, the Batman. And you see a few quotes here about Batman talking to Mother saying, I had my doubts, but your program seems very impressive. And she seems pleased, and he wants to meet this new heir that she's arranged for him. And as soon as Bluebird says, no, Batman, Dick, outside of this dream sequence, is like, whoa, wait, what, Batman? And he pulls out a taser and fries them and wakes them up.
Right, and they're in this, like, telepathic connection. So, what I've learned from video games and movies and comic books is whenever people are telepathically connected, you let them wake themselves up. You don't wake them up, right, because there could be massive problems.
Exactly. So, boom, he tases them awake, and the sculptor yells at him for doing that. As soon as it is explained to him that the Bluebird saw Batman there, he starts going, Who was it? Who was the Robin you saw? Who was it? And there's no answer. And he points to the sculptor and says, take me in and show me now. Despite the fact that he just told her it might kill us both.
Right, earlier in the issue, hey, if we do this, it'll kill us both. And then we see this electricity going between their heads, and they're like, screaming, and then both of them are laying on the ground.
Or
falling or something.
Bring me to Batman now, he says. You're going to kill us both, she says.
Right. And that's how the issue ends. Personally, I really like this issue. I'm always a sucker for like past backstory, like that kind of stuff. Just the information. I really like to see how Cassandra was developed. Like we've said earlier, this is her first instance in the New 52 era. So they can really kind of make up whatever backstory they want to. And so I really like seeing her, where she came from, how she is, the reason why she is. And I like seeing that, that possible now tension between these two girls that had formed a friendship, now that being destroyed because it seems that Cassandra probably killed Harper's mother.
Right.
My knowledge on Dick Grayson is actually pretty limited. Like I said, I haven't started reading comics until the New 52 with just Batman. And so I don't really get how he is, the ins and outs of him, other than he's kind of a reverse of Bruce,
right,
so to speak. But it does seem really weird to me that he would say, no, we can't do this. And then just a couple pages later, at the end of the story later, hey, do this. It seems, if there is this motif of Dick becoming Batman, that does seem like something very Batman to do, where he doesn't trust the people that are around him to give him the information. Like, if he would have just let Harper sleep, then he could have figured out what he wanted, and now he's possibly hurt himself or killed the sculptor, and then he won't be able to find the answer.
Right.
Overall, though, I still really enjoy this issue. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4 out of 5 Batman symbols. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. So, there you go.
First off, I was a little disappointed that there's no Red Hood or Red Robin in this issue at all. I really loved their banter over the past few. I liked having Bane around, although that kind of just cut off with him last issue. But this one has a lot of great things going for it. One, I really enjoy seeing some of the Cassandra Cain backstory. Since she's been silent this entire time, we haven't gotten any read on her except for that instance where we visualized the person getting their throat slit a few issues back. So it's cool to see where she's coming from and that big reveal that Orphan is her father. And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it seems kind of glossed over because it kind of happens quick, but it's kind of a big deal that this villain they've been fighting for a while is actually her dad. And that means that she cut off her own dad's hand.
Mm-hmm.
Very Star Wars-y.
Very Star Wars-y.
Yes. The logic of Dick Grayson deciding to go ahead and jump in even though he just said, oh, this would kill us both. I mean, as much as Dick is the irrational of the original dynamic duo, he's not that irrational. So I thought it was kind of like out of place, but I mean, they're going to use whatever they can to move this plot forward, I guess. That being said, the artwork was okay in this issue. Not the best of all of them. I got those weird moments like with Harper's face where the colors just seemed kind of... It wasn't really colors, it was the shading, so that probably falls on pencils or ink, in any case. Overall, I'd probably give this issue maybe a 2.5 out of 5 Robin symbols. It still moves the plot along, but it's missing that back and forth that the Robins had together that made most of the issues so far better than this one.
Okay. So overall, we give that a 6.5 out of 10. So, there you go. All New X-Men #2 was written by Dennis Hopeless with art by Mark Bagley.
So the issue opens with Iceman waking Cyclops up, saying, "Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey." And he's like, "What?" Just some silly thing my mom used to say when she yanked the covers off me. And she'd I'd get up and be like, "Man, there's no actual eggs and bacon." That's really disappointing. But as they wake up, they realize there's a whole battle going on right now, and it's kind of goofy, which is the tone for this comic. There's both like the seriousness in Cyclops, but also the goofiness of everybody around him. And so the X-Men, as they are the young X-Men, are about to throw down with the Ghosts of Cyclops,
right? Which
we ran into in the last issue as these guys who wear Cyclops masks on their face. Young Cyclops here grabs a little piece of a table and decides, "I'm going to take these guys on with this piece of a table," and the fight begins. Thirst starts throwing water out. Iceman freezes it.
Which, that's a weird name to me that his name is Thirst.
And
because he vomits water. Shouldn't it be like spew or spout or vomit?
That's a really great question. I mean, maybe he's just like, "Hey, do you thirst?" And then just blast them with... I mean, that would... I don't know. He's...
Maybe call him like Fire Hose. Anyway, okay.
The Wolverine calls them on what they're doing. It's not a real battle tactic besides a diversion to run away. And as they try to escape, young Cyclops stops Thirst, tackles him, and starts beating the snot out of him while everybody's like, "No, stop, stop, stop." Wolverine and Angel pursue the rest of the Ghosts of Cyclops, and then the cops show up to arrest young Cyclops for assault. Beast begs the officers, "Please, don't arrest him. He was just protecting himself and these people from the gang. They're the ones who are the bad guys."
Right,
here.
it was actually... These guys are the ones that actually caused all this mess. My friend was trying to protect everyone, trying to say, but actually, Cyclops was the one that caused the mess because the last issue, in issue #1, like his optic blast, like blew out like radially, like all over the place to knock these guys back.
So he admits it anyway in handcuffs. He says, "I assaulted him. She's doing her job. It's none of your business anyway, Beast. Back off." And so the cop tells Beast on the side, like, "Hey, whenever a fight happens on campus, we pull the two parties, we put them in overnight and just say, let's work out their problems, essentially." And so even though they're mutants who blew up half the library, she still has this, like, it'll work itself out demeanor about it. Meanwhile, Beast says, "Well, we got to take care of Pickles, the little guy who teleported them there."
Their little bamf.
And so we should get him some pizza. And so he leaves the duty of moving the Volkswagen and the trailer to the young ones, Kid Apocalypse and Idy?
Idy.
Idy.
And the reason that they're going to get pizza, it isn't just like, okay, we're hungry, we're going to go get pizza. It's because Pickles, the little bamf them, like, from Austin, Texas to Chicago. And so they said whenever he goes long distances, he totally zaps his energy. He is totally famished. So we actually need to feed him. I mean, it's not just like, okay, you guys clean up this mess, we're going to go get pizza. There's actually a reason behind them going to get pizza, even though it's kind of weird that they would leave that mess for Kid Apocalypse and Idy to...
But they are teenagers, so maybe they don't think things through completely.
Right.
Scene changes over to the police station where they've got the two young mutants, Cyclops and Thirst, locked next to each other in these jail cells, where Thirst is making the comment that, we could break out of here if we wanted to. And he just keeps blabbering on about, who are you anyway? Are you like Cyclops' kid or some dumb clone? Or, it doesn't make much sense. Why are you fighting us, Ghosts of Cyclops, if you're so much like Cyclops? We're all about him. We looked up to him because he stood up for us and told it how it is. Where Cyclops cuts him off and he's like, you mean you wear the mask of a guy who makes you look like a self-righteous, mass-murdering psychopath? Hate to break it to you, but your big hero, he was a bleeping supervillain. Thirst says, nah, man, it ain't like that. But Cyclops tells him, like, you guys think you're these cool freedom-fighting outlaws of some kind, but really all you are a bunch of bullies. He just bullies it out of that. And he says, the reason why I can say so much about this and how I think you guys just need to sit down and shut up is because I'm actually Cyclops. You don't know how I'm Cyclops, but I'm Cyclops.
Right, he's actually Cyclops. We then cut back to this to the pizza parlor where Bobby and Hank are going to get some pizza, and there's this really interesting kind of interchange here. Hank brings up the point, it's like, Bobby, for a while now, all you've been doing is cracking jokes. Like, you're my best friend, and we used to talk about everything, and we really haven't talked about anything. And then Hank basically makes the comment of, we can talk about what's going on. And Bobby's like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, and obviously what they're referring to is the fact that Bobby has come out as gay. Right. And Hank's just like, hey, man, I'll talk to you about it. And Bobby is like, no, man, I just want to order a slice of pizza. Like, let's just continue to be friends. Let's hang out. And as they're hanging out, having this little kind of intimate, funny, weird, awkward conversation, Pickles sees some pizza and he bamps out of Hank's backpack and he just starts going to town on a bunch of pizza, and everyone in Chicago at this pizza place is freaking out.
I like to point out too how funny it is that Beast thinks he can go into a restaurant barefoot as if it's gonna...
Right, like they were just in their costumes, and he put on like a sweatshirt and some pants. Oh, now I'm inconspicuous, but his huge, ginormous feet are still bare.
The scene then moves over to where Angel and Wolverine had pursued the remaining parts of the Ghosts of Cyclops. They find them at a parking garage with their masks off, all discussing about who those guys were and how they looked like they were just new mutants, maybe, or maybe they're thinking, oh, maybe those are the guys that we heard about on the news that are doppelgangers of the original 5 X-Men. They start making comments like, hey, are there pics of them? Because, it didn't happen if there aren't pics. And one of them was like, didn't you use Snopes? You got to Snopes it, obviously. So, like those meta references, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's really good.
But pretty much as soon as they're getting ready to take off, Wolverine's like, all right, that's our cue. Let's jump in there. And she jumps in front of a moving vehicle, slices it up, gets in a fight with one of the big Hulk-looking guys. Angel cuts in, kind of as the overprotective boyfriend here.
Yeah, it's really funny. I mean, you have a big Hulk-looking thing, and then you have Laura Kinney, X-23, who is now Wolverine, and you could possibly argue that she is way more violent and way more messed up than the original Wolverine ever was.
It's possible.
And like here, Angel comes in with fire wings. I mean, they're on the Rachel and Miles Explain the X-Men. They make this long-running joke that the only thing that Angel ever does is dodge stuff while he's flying through the air.
Right.
So it's really funny that he's trying to be the protective boyfriend and will stand in the way, even though he is the least qualified to win this fight between these people.
So she gets blasted by fire by this atomic fireball dude and just kind of laughs it off as they react with WTF. At which point, as you would know, Angel hops in like, oh, I gotta save you. Oh no, hold on, babe.
Hold on, babe.
I gotcha. Which her reaction is, justified here. Like, what the heck? I had that. And she's like, dude, you smell like meat right now. And she points out, I'm the Wolverine, and a flaming Wolverine is even scarier than normal Wolverine. I had that fight won, and you didn't help. And he backs down immediately like, all right, sorry, I guess.
And as the Ghosts of Cyclops drive away, and they're like, no, we lost him, but Angel can fly.
Yeah, really fast.
Right, so he could just grab her like they did before and follow them.
He could just drop her on the car.
Right, there you go.
Done. So the scene moves over to Heidi and Kid Apocalypse. They figured out how to get the Volkswagen moved. They, I guess, called the city and had it towed to impound. So that's one way to get it done.
And Kid Apocalypse is like, hey, are you sure we should have done this? And she's like, yeah, those guys should have invited us to go get pizza with them.
This is their fault, not ours.
Yeah, this is their fault, not ours. So then they go to the pizza place, and we see there's this scene of little Pickles, the naked bamf.
Butt naked.
just eating pizza and chugging, we
Beer.
assume beer, and just bamfing all over the place, and Hank keeps trying to catch him, but he can't. And then Hank says, in hindsight, we should have brought the pizza 2 pickles. Well, duh.
Scene changes back over to the jail cells of Thirst and Cyclops as they're talking, and Cyclops goes ahead and just spills the whole story to him. Tells him about how they were transported from the past to the present, and that they were supposed to come here to change this god-awful nightmare future, as he puts it. And then he finds out that his future version of himself is this teeth-grinding, control-freak obsessive, and nobody understands his plan but him. Nobody can fix the world but him. He's got it all figured out, and he'll burn Xavier's dream to the ground to prove it. He fully has this negative view of his future self. Does not believe in that as the dream.
Yeah, basically, there's this battle going on him that he can see. He's like, well, the old Cyclops is me, and whenever people look at him, they see me, and when they look at me, they see him, and I'm never going to have a future. I'm never going to be okay because of who I sort of will become. And then he goes on to say, this is why I haven't used my optic blast and why I try not to use my optic blast, because when I do, then people will see him and not see me.
Right. He goes on to say, even though I'm not that guy yet, but what can I change about any of this? He feels completely hopeless. Nothing can be changed. What future? My future already happened here. And the Cyclops I grow into is crazy, and he's just completely upset. So he realizes that even if he dodges this destiny that he feels like he has, he's still stuck with that creep's legacy. And because unlike them and his dumb friends, this Ghosts of Cyclops, he can't take his Cyclops mask off. In the very last panel, the Ghosts of Cyclops show up and say Cyclops might be dead and gone, but his ghosts linger on. Man, that is a lame way to end it, though.
It really is. For such a solid issue.
Right.
Oh, man. Overall, I really like this issue. I love the tone of it. I love how we have a lot of funny mixed in with the serious. Man, Dennis Hopeless does a fantastic job of writing Cyclops. Like, he totally understands that character and totally gets this crap that's going on in his mind, like all this sorrow and pain and hurt and confusion in the future. And anyway, it's really good. Like, that so far, I will definitely say is the driving force of these 2 issues that we've had so far is this Cyclops story. But then you have, the funny Banff stuff, with the pizza, and you have Bobby making all of his jokes, which he's really funny.
It is funny.
And then, I really like how they are having a character come out like that is a big deal, and it's really interesting. I think how he's treating it is probably how most people would react to it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, okay, here's this thing that just happened, but I've said it and I've done it, but I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
I know, let's just leave it at that. So I think that's just kind of interesting, how that relationship is playing out. I'm interesting to see, whenever something like that happens, how it will change a friendship. Mm-hmm. Whether for good or for worse or whatever, but it's definitely going to change their friendship. Right. But overall, definitely a very solid issue. I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5 gold X-Men symbols. Really liked it.
So I thought this issue was really great. I love that the tone is a combination of this introspective deal with Cyclops where he's having to fight with this identity, like, am I this guy that everybody perceives the future version of me or am I not? But also a little bit of that with Iceman too, with his, like, I'm gay, but I don't really want to talk about it right now because he's still dealing with kind of the baggage of how that was sound in the past versus the present. But then against the backdrop of naked little Nightcrawler looking dudes who teleport around and drink beer and eat pizza and Volkswagen buses that get teleported. I mean, it's classic X-Men. It's funny but also serious, and I really love that combination. It's interesting to note, too, that this comic versus others that we're reading right now, it's very character-driven versus plot-driven. And I think that's a very powerful tool to use because although plot is I wouldn't say an easy thing to write for, but it's, you can progress and keep people going issue to issue, like dropping little hints of what might happen. But this gets you more in the feels, as I like to say. Like, this draws out the emotional part and drags you into the issue. Not like you're waiting for what's happening next. Like, you want to know what happens next. This right now, you want to reread that section because you're like, wait a second, how does Cyclops feel about this? I really want to get into that.
It's almost like you don't care what happens because you're invested in these characters.
Right. So it's less about, like, the big reveal later and more like, I want to know what's happening in his brain. I want to know what's happening in his heart. So I think it's really, really great issue. There's not much more I can say about it. I mean, the art's great and the writing's great. I think Dennis Hopeless and Mark Bagley are a solid team. I would have to give this one a 4 out of 5 red X symbols. It's a really good issue.
Overall, that is an 8.5 out of 10, which is one of our highest ratings that we have ever given.
Yeah.
Yeah, really
well
good.
done,
Well-
Hopeless and Bagley.
Very, very good. So make sure you go check out All New X-Men. Very good. It's fantastic. Definitely check it out. So are you liking Batman and Robin Eternal a lot? Do you like this sculptor lady? Do you like knowing Cassandra Cain's past? Do you like all that? Let us know in the comments below. Also, let us know how you feel about this All New X-Men book. We absolutely love it. So comment below, with your thoughts on it. Do you like it? Do you not like it?
Absolutely. And pick up a new issue. Comment something else you've been reading. Maybe we'll want to start reading it too. Just let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well.
Yep.
And until next time, we're just going to keep on reading comics.
And we're probably going to celebrate Christmas.
That
Because
too.
that's in a couple days.
Yes, that too.
So, Merry Christmas from the guys at Imperius Arcs.